Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to our Wednesday night update here at First Presbyterian Church. We are glad to have you with us here tonight. Let's see who is logged on so far. Kathy, very good evening to you and Rich. It was indeed a truly beautiful day out there. It's hard to get me to say that this time of year. I do still think it's really strange that when we have snow covering the ground and we started talking about a warm day because it's not like zero outside. But I guess that's the way Minnesota is this time of year, and we'll take the blessing for what we got today. It was fantastic, absolutely. Jenny, glad to see you here with us this evening. I see you're all set to listen in. A little bit of a funny story, folks. As I was leaving the house tonight, I said to Jenny, I said, yeah, I'll see you at 6 o'clock. And I got here to church, and I got a text from her saying, doesn't the Wednesday night update start at 6 o'clock? You won't be home for dinner at 6. And I was like, yeah, no, you'll see me on the internet at 6 o'clock. And she's like, oh, yeah, right. So thanks for tuning in, dear. I love you very much. Len, it was indeed a beautiful day. Hope you had a great lunch with Jenny and Jeff. For those of you who don't know, Jenny and Jeff are Colonel Armbruster's kids and daughter and son-in-law. I shouldn't say kids, although he did always refer to Jeff as son. We had Colonel's burial today. Colonel passed away this past Sunday afternoon, and we buried him over at Union Cemetery today. So we had a beautiful day in the sun to do that and to celebrate Colonel's life. We are looking forward to a time in a month or so when we can gather as a community of faith here at the church to celebrate both Colonel and Laverne's life in a more full and complete memorial service. So stay tuned for details on that in the coming days. Let's see. And Meg, good evening to you. Glad you also got out for a walk today. Yeah, the sunshine. The sun actually felt almost warm today, which is pretty good for January, whatever it is, 12th or 13th, 12th today. So that was fantastic. And Dale, a very good evening to you as well. Not just a couple of quick announcements. We do have a new member informational meeting coming up on the 23rd. Anybody who's interested in learning more about church membership is free and welcome to come and join us then following the church service. We're going to hold that in the Shalom Room, which, I think I said before, it's down the stairs from here, but that doesn't matter because you're not even here in the first place. So we'll sort that out at another time. But if you're at all interested in that, Sunday the 23rd, following worship, we will do that. Obviously, we're continuing with masks in the building. Session's going to reassess this in March. Obviously, Omicron continues to have a massive impact on our community. I know the schools are trying to figure out what to do with that. I know some school districts have gone to distance learning temporarily. I know White Bear is monitoring the situation very closely, and I know that the teachers and the students, and especially though the administrators, principals in particular, I think could really use our prayer at this time. Principals seem to be fielding the questions from those who really think we should be in school and have no limitations and no masks and just get on with everything, and also those who think we should be more cautious. So they're kind of getting it from both ends. They're dealing with staff shortages in their buildings because teachers are out. They're trying to figure out how to keep kids engaged when so many kids are out sick as well. So let's keep our educators very much in prayer at the moment. Also, we did have an update this past Sunday on Sue Hunt's brother, Bill Cleary. And Bill, we've been praying for as he'd been going through his cancer, but they have now given up on the idea of any further treatments, and they're bringing him home to enter into hospice care. He didn't want to be in the hospital anymore. He wanted to be home and surrounded by friends and family. And as he enters into this process, we definitely want to keep Sue and the family in prayer. Also, a friend of Peggy Rusky, Chris, has been diagnosed with a lung infection, is being transferred to a hospital where she can undergo another procedure and continue treatment. So definitely want to keep Chris in prayer as well. And then the Enfer family have been making travel plans to head back to Cameroon. Eric and I think two of the kids left yesterday, and Jennifer will be following shortly, as I understand it. So let's definitely keep them in our prayers because Cameroon is still a very unstable nation. Eric does support a school that his brother helps run over there, so And we as a church have also been able to support that too. So prayers for the Enfer family. And then also prayers just for those who continue to battle cancer. David Mork, Bill Fairman, Andrea Asterly's mom, and others that you guys may be aware of. We definitely want to keep folks in prayer at this time. All right. That's the announcements out of the way for the evening. Little thought for this week. You know, you guys are probably familiar either with the book of Ecclesiastes or with the Birds' song, where it says that there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. A time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down, etc., 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 right? A time for everything. But when it reaches the end of that list of there being a time for everything, do you know what comes next? What comes next is this. He, that is God, has made everything beautiful in its time. He has made everything beautiful in its time. I think we as a culture would do well to pause, to sit back and to reflect a little more fully on the three classic transcendental thoughts of the good, the beautiful, and the true. We live in a culture that is so heavily based on the opposites of winning and losing, or the opposites extremes of being right or wrong. And those are not always helpful ways for us to look at the world. Sometimes it's okay to not win or lose. I know American sports in particular, you got to have a winner or a loser, right? Even in regular season, baseball games will go to extra innings because you have to have a winner. You can't have a tie. Basketball games go to overtime until you get a winner. Football games, they'll allow a tie, but you got to play overtime in order to get there, in the hopes, though, that you'll not end up with a tie. But other more international type sports like soccer, unless it's in a process of elimination in a competition, during the regular league season, ties are common. The same with rugby. Or we like to put things into categories of right and wrong. Why do we want to always make something right or wrong? Why can't we have more gray? More bits in the middle where we're not quite so sure. I mean, we all know the commandment, thou shalt not steal. But what about the case of someone who is starving, stealing from someone who has more than enough, because the one who has more than enough will not share? Is it wrong for that person to steal? It's sort of funny to me to think of the character of Robin Hood, right? Robin Hood, that great medieval character who stole from the rich to give to the poor, held up as a hero for doing what essentially was wrong. And he had the support of some of the church, right? He had Friar Tuck with him in the process there as well. Or we say with abandon, of course we would not kill another person. But what happens in the situation where our own life is threatened? Perhaps there's a gray area there between right and wrong. We so often make this life of ours into this great competition. But perhaps we need to focus more on just simply, what is the good in the present situation? What is beauty? You know, I think we all, to some extent, know beauty when we see it, don't we? We know it when we see a sunrise or a sunset. I tend to only see sunsets. I don't do sunrises very often. I have to admit, I'm much more of a night person. But we know it when we see the grandeur of a mountain. But do we know it when we look at another person? Do we see beauty in the small things in life? You know, there's a great line at the end of the movie Patch Adams. Patch Adams is telling the story of Dr. Patch Adams and his journey through medical school. It's a comedy with Robin Williams from a number of years ago. And at the end of the movie, he is brought up in front of the medical board because they're challenging and questioning whether or not he should be allowed to graduate. And in a moment of great exasperation, he looks at them and he says, "You treat a disease and you win or lose. You treat a person and you win every time." And I love that idea that if we actually treat people, that we can win every time, because there's something beautiful about humanity. I got a book in the mail yesterday. They didn't send it to me for free. I did order it. And it's one that I'm really excited to read. It's titled The Sound of Life's Unspeakable Beauty. The Sound of Life's Unspeakable Beauty by Martin Schlesky. And Martin Schlesky is considered to be one of the world's premier luthiers. He's a violin maker. And it's been translated from the original German into English and has had some great reviews. But I want to read just from the foreword. And the foreword is written by Makoto Fujimura, a Japanese-American artist. And I've quoted him here before on some of the pieces he's done on beauty. Mako works at Fuller Seminary, is a wonderful artist, also works with materials, broken plate pots to perform kintsugi, which is the Japanese idea of mending a broken pot with precious metals to make it something more special than it was before. But in his foreword to this book, he says this: "Like the 100-year-old fir wood that surrenders to a master's hand, the reader must invite the resonance behind the words, to discover an echo of one's own soul, and let the words of this writing begin to seep into one's own journey. The echo, ringing from the deepest realm of the forests, becomes the sound of a violin. Perhaps the sound is not heard, but is captured best paradoxically in the silence. The wood grains of a violin capture such a history, and the resonance is felt, and then heard only if the one who plays it is a master as well. That sound, no doubt, catches the musica universalis, the music of the spheres, the song of angels that we have always heard, but we have learned to tune out. The signature of the wood has already captured that sound, and it is up to the masters to bring it out." I love that idea that God, in speaking into creation, the sound of angels is already captured in the beauty of the wood. I love books like this. I love hearing stories of masters at their arts bringing out the beauty that we so often fail to see. I almost brought in a stack of books tonight that I thought spoke to beauty. Books by John Muir, right? The great naturalist who walked throughout this country following the Civil War years, documenting all that he saw and experienced. Books by Ansel Adams, talking about and looking at his photography, particularly in Yosemite, bringing out the intricate details and that deep contrast that he was able to create in those beautiful images of his. Book by Dorothea Lange and the photographs that she took during the Depression years. There's so much beauty in this world. Folks, I think we need to start to learn. It's not that categories of right and wrong and win and lose aren't important in some cases, but we as Christians need to be more focused on what is good, what is loving, what is beautiful in this world, and what is true. Let's not be so worried about winning. Let's be more concerned about bringing God's love and reclaiming the beauty of this world for all to see. What do you say, folks? Let's focus on the beautiful. You are all beautiful human people. When we started this, podcast, weekly update almost 2 years ago. I used to always say, welcome all you beautiful human people tonight, and my daughter Michaela would make fun of me for saying that. But you are all beautiful human people. Tomorrow you will encounter more beautiful human people. May we focus on beauty and love and truth. And then the winning and the losing and the right and wrong, I think, will take care of itself. Have a fantastic rest of the week, and I will be with you again this coming Sunday. Bye for now.